happened?
Hello and welcome to What the Truck Happened, the place where you get all your news, data, and information. My name is Joko, and I'll do the research so you don't have to, but just in case you want to read up a little bit, I'll put some links down in the description of the articles I cover here. In today's news, the Senate is trying to abolish Biden administration's new emissions rule. What does that mean for you as a trucking business owner or as a truck driver? Let's take a look. On December 20th, 2022, EPA adopted a final rule, control of air pollution from new motor vehicles, heavy-duty engine, and vehicle standards. This final rule is consistent with President Biden's executive order, strengthening American leadership in clean cars and trucks, and is the first step in the Clean Trucks Plan. This may sound fancy and good, but trust me, it's not. Most trucking business owners in the US are smaller businesses with 20-25 trucks or less. This means that in order for them to comply with this new emissions rule, they would either have to upgrade their equipment or get their older equipment in compliance with this new emission rule. That means more spending. And in this bad market nowadays, that brokers are price gouging as much as they can, and fuel prices are up. Pretty much markets are really bad for the trucking industry. The last thing we actually need is more expenses for truck drivers and putting more trucking businesses out of business. In order for those smaller businesses to be in compliance with this rule, like I said, they need to spend more money on their current equipment. And how much, you may ask? Well, between $8,000 and $9,000 per vehicle. So imagine if you are a trucking business owner that has 10, 15, 20 trucks, you would have to spend $160,000 just to be in compliance with those emissions rules. This aggressive EPA rule, which will hit mom and pop truck operations the hardest, is also ineffective because it incentivizes operators to keep using older, higher emitting trucks for longer, says Deb Fisher. During a period of high inflation and supply chain disruptions, the last thing this country needs is more expensive freight costs and fewer trucks. Additionally, Senator Roger Marshall, a Republican from Kansas, said that this new emission rule would actually hit his home state especially hard because 98% of all trucking businesses out of Kansas are with 25 trucks or less. However, the Senate Republicans have introduced a joint resolution with which they hope to overturn this emission ruling, but it is believed that Biden will just veto it. In addition to that, American Trucking Association President and CEO Chris Spear told Congress that the trucking industry actually needed more realistic national guidelines and timelines to become more emission friendly and not allow Western states such as California to drive the standards for everyone else. But here's what he had to say to Congress.
Another example, ATA worked with the EPA, producing phases 1 and 2 emissions reduction rules. To date, 98.5% of all emissions have been removed from our tailpipes. In fact, 60 trucks today emit what one truck emitted in 1988. These two rules alone cut CO2 emissions by 1.37 million metric tons, saved $220 billion in fuel cost, and reduced oil consumption by 2.5 billion barrels of oil. And the ATA and the EPA created the Smart Way program, saving participating fleets more than 4 billion gallons of fuel, over $19 billion at today's costs. Those fuel savings resulted in massive emission reductions of 2.7 million short tons of nitrogen oxide, 112,000 short tons of particulate matter, and 143 million metric tons of CO2, all by putting the safest, newest, and most environmentally friendly equipment on our roads. This is not a debate about if we get to zero, but when.
This concludes our News Digest for today. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe button, ring the notification bell as well so you don't miss any future videos, and I'll see you in the next one.
What the truck happened?